What is going on, everybody? Hey, Sam32 here, back playing MK11. So today I want to give a little bit of a character breakdown for Cetrion. Talk about some of her key normals, strengths, special moves, and I'll go into her crushing blows a little bit as well. Cetrion's a space control character. She excels pretty much at mid and longer ranges. She does hold her own up close. She actually has some pressure. It's kind of gimmicky. It's not really like true pressure. She doesn't have any overhead starters. All of her overheads come at the end of her strings, and her only low starter, which is her back three, which we'll talk about. To get full combo off of that, you have to commit into this move, and that move is very unsafe. So she doesn't really have like mix-ups in that regard, but she has good stagger pressure, and I'll talk about that when I talk about her strings and stuff like that. And she has ways to set up certain gimmicks and make herself completely safe. And again, I'll talk about that more when we get to like the combos and the strings and the special moves. But we'll start with the normals. So stand 1 is pretty good normal. You can see the range on that. That's an 8-frame move. So if Kung Lao were to do something that's kind of negative, but it has a little bit of pushback on it, or a decent amount of block stun, and it kind of leaves you at this range, Cetrion can still punish with her stand 1. She can actually get a pretty decent combo off of this. So that's 18% off of a stand 1 punish, not bad. The cool thing about that combo that you just saw, the opponent cannot break out of that combo, and it leaves them standing, so they don't have access to any wake-up options. A little bit of a side note on that as well. 16-Bit talked about this on stream and in the character breakdown that he did with Game Informer. When he does his combos, he typically ends them in 4-2-3. That's that string to leave the opponent standing, and then go for a mix-up, whether he goes for a throw or pressure or whatever. The reason I end my combos like this, right, is because Cetrion up close, as I mentioned, isn't the greatest. That's not really where she wants to be. Not too great pressure, and she doesn't really do a lot of damage. She excels, kind of over here. So the reason I end my combos like this is because it not only keeps them standing, right, it adds damage to the end of my combos, and at the same time, it allows me to create more space. This move is plus 14 on it. So now I have 14 frames to kind of back up, get back into that neutral, get back into that space control, and kind of play the game that I want to play. Let's get back into her normals. So ranges where stand 1 won't reach, right? Hold up. Right here. This is what her forward 1 is for. Our forward 1 is a 9-frame move. So, same situation, but let's just say the move that Kung Lao does has even more pushback, slightly greater pushback on it, or slightly more block stun. Forward 1 is your go-to punish tool for moves that push you into this range. The problem with forward 1, her string that comes off of this is forward 1-3. She has forward 1-3 too, but I never use that string. But forward 1-3, the problem with that is you can't get much of a combo off that, because that does not combo into the pistols. As you can see, it splits it into 2 combos. So what I actually do is I do that, okay? Now that's only 12%, but the good thing about that move is it checks the opponent, right? Because if Kung Lao is doing that move, right, that's unsafe, but he thinks there's too much pushback on it, I don't have any options to punish him, and he can just do it whenever he wants to. Well, when I hit him with that, right, he now knows every time he uses that move, and I don't know if Kung Lao has a move that puts you in that situation, but hypothetically, every time he uses that move, right, he now knows that he's going to be eating that 12% every time, and that adds up. Okay, not only that, right, now I'm back where I want to be, all because he tried to do that move. So it's good for that. It's a good punish, easy 12% every time, and again, it allows you to go back into that range and that space where Cetrion wants to be. Forward 2 reaches just inside of standing distance. This will obviously hit at ranges where stand 1 and forward 1 don't hit, and it's a mid, so that's really good. It goes into this string, which is the string we talked about before, forward 2-3, which is mid-low. Now that string by itself on block is -10. We'll talk about how you can set that up and make it so that the opponent can't do anything about you staggering that, because if the opponent were to just mash out of that, they would punish you because you're -10. So what I like to do off of that string is, she has this string, which is an overhead, that's -9, and then in this variation, I don't know if this is one of the tournament loadouts, but it is one of the preset loadouts. She has this move, which is a low earthquake, and we'll get more in depth with that string and that special move in a bit. But you have a little bit of a built-in 50-50 with that, where you can go either overhead or you can go either low. If you can get the opponent to start blocking, right? So now every time they see this string, they're guessing whether or not you're going to go overhead or low. They're looking for that 50-50. If you get them to block, right, then you can start staggering that string and going for throw mix-ups or going for, you know, continued pressure and stuff like that. And there's ways to set that up safely so that the opponent has to respect that stagger. And, you know, that'll come later also when we talk about the special moves. Her back 3 is a low, 10 frame low. It has decent range on it. Problem with that low is, first of all, she doesn't have any overhead starters. All her overheads come at the end of strings. Her having the earthquake in this variation does allow her to have some sort of 50-50, but really, the majority of the time, you're gonna want to be blocking low against Cetrion. So this move really doesn't you know, do anything for you as far as like a mix-up and being able to combo off of it. If you wanted to combo off of that low, you would have to commit into the tendril. You can't react to it hitting and then input the tendril. It's just not going to work. So you'd have to commit to that, and if they block the tendril, you're very unsafe, as you probably can imagine. So I typically, if I do get the hit with the low, I always just go for her low string, which is back 3-2. It's a low mid. It's only -5 on block. You know, I only do this low if I'm in the opponent's head and I know that they're not going to block low. And there's a couple ways you can set that up, which is one way I'll show in a bit, where you can make it so that that low is more potent as far as a mix-up option goes. But just by itself, it's not really too crazy of a mix-up. If you're somebody who uses hop attacks a lot, which I've tried to implement into my game a little bit, but if you're someone who uses hop attacks a lot, you can get away with throwing out this low and committing to it probably a little bit more, because the opponent's going to be looking for those hop attacks as well. Her low pokes, down one, down 3, down 4. Down 4 is the best out of them in my opinion, because on hit, you can see how much space that creates. All of those pokes are -5 on block. All 3 of them are -5. Her down 1 is 8 frames. Down 3 is 9 frames, and down 4 is 10 frames. But like I said, the space that the down 4 creates is just amazing if it hits. Her down 1, once you get to like right here, her down 1 will whiff, but her down 3 and her down 4 will still hit. So she has a little bit more range on her down 3 and her down 4, but as far as her low pokes go, down 4 is definitely her best low poke. At least in my opinion it is. Talk about her strings a little bit. So she has 1-1. This is your, you know, easy hit confirmable punish string for like moves inside this range, or moves that are like -9 or something like that. Can really only punish with stand 1. So that's going to be your go-to string for punishing. Also, the range on the second one is really good. You can see how much range that has, how much space that puts between me and Kung Lao. And the cool thing about this string is it's only -2 on block. So if you were to do this string like in the neutral, and the opponent thinks that they can, you know, press a button after, or if they try to like advance forward on you, let's just say you have an opponent who doesn't really have far-reaching normals like Cetrion does, right? You could do something like 1-1, and then if they don't know that it's only -2 on block, and they try to like walk in or, you know, advance forward, you can catch them, you know, not blocking or trying to, you know, walk in with like a forward 2, or, you know, really anything. Forward 1 will hit as well if they try to, you know, advance forward or anything like that. Forward 1's probably your best bet if they're trying to like you know, advance on you, because it's 9 frames as opposed to 4-2, which is 14 frames. But, you know, first time you use that string, especially in the neutral, and the opponent blocks it, if they think they can advance forward, or if they think it's more negative than it is, you can catch a lot of people not blocking or trying to walk forward on you. So it's a pretty good string. Her 2-1 string, this is the string I was talking about that sets up her stagger pressure. 2-1 is only -1 on block. Now, her having an 8 frame down 1 means any move 8 frames or faster will beat out her down 1. But usually the first time you know, start a string like that, the opponent is going to wait and see. They're not expecting you to stagger a string, you know, the first time you use it. So a lot of times, if they react to you staggering this string, they'll get hit by that stagger, you know, trying to react to it and, you know, counter poke you. More oftentimes than not, the first time you do it, they'll get hit by the down 1 into whatever you choose to do after that. And that sets up her crushing blow, right? So what I like to do is I like to stagger this as much as possible, right? Just keep staggering this until the opponent finally realizes that they can poke out, that their low poke will beat me out. And I keep doing it, right? Keep staggering it. The reason I keep staggering it is because I want the opponent to be confident, right? Confident that every time they see this string, right, every time they see me stagger it, they know that they can poke out with a down 1, right? And that sets up the crushing blow, because if Kung Lao tries to down 1 me out of that string, counter hit, crushing blow, into 34%, 33.6%, and I'm back at that space I want to be at. So all for him trying to poke out of my stagger pressure, he gets counter hit, and he, you know, loses 34%. This string also helps to set up this string also helps to set up her low. It makes it more potent, because once you start staggering, right, and they're waiting for, you know, whatever you're gonna go after next, whether it be a down 1 wall or something like that, or if you actually start finishing the string and going for the overhead, right, then, you know, once they know that you have that overhead option, right, or you could stagger it, right, they don't really want to press any buttons, right? They're gonna wait and try and see what you do next, and then, you know, block and follow up accordingly. So that's when you can start doing the stagger into the low, right, and then throw that option in. You also have this as an option, but I wouldn't recommend using that because that's -15 and it doesn't have pushback on it, so that's an easy punish for them. So, you know, once you establish the stagger, and then, you know, once you start finishing this string and they see that you have that overhead option, that's when this low becomes more potent. And sometimes, you know, sometimes you just have to take that risk and commit to the low. But if you condition the opponent enough, right, sometimes you'll just know that that's going to hit, and you can get, you know, decent combo damage off of her low. So her 2-1 string is really good. It's her go-to string up close. It's, you know, if you're trying to open the opponent up close, or they close the distance and now you have to kind of play up close before you can create that distance again, 2-1 string is her best string for that. We already talked a little bit about 4-2-3. It's a mid-low, covers a lot of distance. If you want, what you can do is, like, after you do a combo or something, you can, you know, do this, right? Get them to, you know, create that space, and then you can catch them off guard with, instead of doing the Hell's Wraith, the fire move, you can cancel it just with that, leave them close to you, and then go for like a throw or something like that. Or if you want to, you can go for, you know, continued pressure, whatever you choose to do after that. It is a good option to leave them close, you know, every once in a while, but in my opinion, creating that distance is much more beneficial to her. And then we also talked about back to 2, excuse me, which is that low string again. This is only -5 on block, so it's a much safer option. Only cancel this into the tendril if you know for a fact that it's gonna hit. All let's talk about her special moves. So we have the rock wall. This move will absorb projectiles. It's pretty negative on block. I think it's negative 20 on block. Yeah, negative 20 on block. But it does have a decent amount of pushback to it, as you saw. So even though it is minus 20, from that range, you know, Kung Lao has the opportunity to close distance, but that's about it. Kung Lao really isn't going to be able to do anything, you know, as far as a punish goes from that distance. I'll sometimes do, instead of the rock wall on block, I'll do like this on block, because that creates the same amount of distance, but that's minus 14 on block, so a little bit safer. You're still coming off of the bar for it, so it doesn't really matter, but it's a little bit safer, so it gives you a little bit more time to kind of, you know, reposition yourself. But either option. But this move really is, its main purpose is to be the projectile absorb. It also has a crushing blow. If the opponent throws a projectile and then you absorb it and meter burn it and it hits them, it'll be a crushing blow. I'm not going to show that because, you know, you don't get like a combo off it or anything like that, but it does do a decent amount of damage. Yeah, but that's that move. Then she has Hell's Wraith, which is this fire move. She can actually aim this at 3 different distances. She can do it close, she can do it mid, she can do it far. Let me take my block real quick. You can also do it in the air, but you don't have to be in the air to do it. You can see I'm doing it from the ground, and she actually rises up and does it, but you can do it from the air. And this is a good tool for her because it helps her control a lot, you know, basically the entirety of the screen. She has this move, which is a boulder, goes across the ground. It has a lot of startup. If you and someone else were to throw a projectile at the same time and theirs travels across the screen quick, like a Liu Kang fireball or like Frost's projectiles, for example, if you were to both use those projectiles at the same time, their projectile will hit you out and the boulder won't even come out. So, you know, her zoning is good because it controls a lot of the space, but it's not like obnoxious. You know, she's not, you know, just throwing projectiles down your throat. She is sort of like a thinking man zoner. You know, you kind of have to know when you can do this move. You know, it is better for space control than like this move, because this move tracks, but if the opponent jumps, you know, that's not going to hit them. With this move, right, because of the hitbox on it and, you know, how much of the screen it takes up, you know, that'll catch people trying to jump over. You know, if they jump too early, that'll catch people on the way down. This will catch people on the way down as well. But, you know, the hitbox of that move is entirely on the ground, whereas the hitbox of this move is that entire boulder, and you can see it actually bounces a little bit. If you look, like when it gets to that other rock that's in front of Kung Lao, it actually bounces, so it raises its hitbox off the ground a little bit. If the opponent's on the way down, that'll catch them as they're falling. And then she also has this projectile. That's actually a crushing blow. It does 32% if the opponent jumps into it. So if, you know, you've got them conditioned with this zoning, you know, you've gotten them to block low, right? They're scared to like counter zone you, and you know, you're keeping the pressure on them with that move, and then you can start establishing this move as a tool, as a zoning tool, right? Once the opponent starts trying to like get in, you know, they become frustrated, they start trying to get in, so they're gonna start trying to jump. You hit them with that, not only does it push them all the way back to full screen again, they're gonna eat 32% from it. So like I said, she's a thinking man zoner. Sometimes you have to be strategic with which zoning moves that you're going to use. But again, all of her zoning moves are about space control, right? Tracking low, you have a zoning move that moves across the ground, has a very good hitbox. This one moves across the air, and then she has this one which covers all this diagonal space. So she has a lot of good tools, but like I said, it's not obnoxious, right? Trust me when I tell you it's not obnoxious. I've played against, you know, Liu Kangs and stuff like that who have almost zoned me out. You know, you have to establish your zoning early, but there are ways around her zoning. Other special moves that I missed from her base. Talked about Barrier, Hell's Wraith, Tendril Pull. You know, that's her main combo starter. You can see it's negative 35 on block, so don't, you know, use that on block. Up close at least. Yeah, so now we can talk about her loadout moves. So this, like I think I mentioned this before, I don't don't think this is a tournament loadout, but it is one of the preset loadouts that you start with. I just, like, if you go into practice mode and take a look at the 2 loadouts that they have, I just changed the name of it to Earth Day. I don't know why, but she has this move, which is a tracking low, so that'll hit them anywhere on screen. And the good thing about this move is, even up close, you hit with this move, look at how much distance that creates. So sometimes, you know, it is beneficial to use it up close. Sometimes you just kind of, you know, throw it out there, because if they do get hit by it, it creates that space. I wouldn't recommend doing it like consistently up close, because like I said, it's -15 on block, so you will get punished for it. But it's a good move to throw every once in a while if you know you need to create that space, or you want to create that space. Every now and then, you know, throw that move out, and you know, if you get punished for it, you get punished for it. But if it hits, you know, get pretty good damage off of it, and you create that distance once again. It's better to, you know, establish your stagger pressure and your mix-ups and stuff like that before trying to go for something like that up close. And then she has the Circle of Life. Now this move was also shown on stream, and I believe it was shown in the Game Informer gameplay breakdown that they did Cetrion. But that move, what those rocks do is, while Cetrion is in the circle, so if Cetrion is not in the circle, you can hit her. And there are certain moves that'll low profile those rocks. So like low pokes, like down ones, like Kung Lao's down 1. If he were to down 1 me while I was in that field, the rock wouldn't hit me. But basically, while you're in that field and those rocks are orbiting you, and there's 3 of them, if the opponent tries to hit you while you're standing in that field, the rock will fly out and hit them. And you can actually get combos off of that. So if he were to hit me with something like a stand 1 that's not really that plus on hit, and the rock were to hit him, I can actually convert off of that. I actually try to show that. Alright, so you see right there, so the rock hit, and then all of that was one combo. So the rock hit him, right, and then because he got hit by it, and his attack that hit me wasn't plus enough on hit, so I was able to recover and still get a combo off of him because of how plus on hit the rock hitting him was. So it's a really good move. If you can set it up safely, and I use it actually in pressure, like if I have the opponent cornered, this is one of the few times that I'll actually like pressure somebody with Cetrion. If you have the opponent like kind of towards the corner, and you can, there's actually ways to set this up safely, which I'll show. This move in the corner is very, very deadly, because once you have their back into the corner and you set up this move, the opponent cannot press a button. Because if they press a button and they get hit by that rock, you can get a full combo off of that. I'll actually show that real quick. So, say I get a combo like this, right? So now I've set up the field, okay? And keep in mind that whole combo I just did, he can't break out of that, and it leaves him standing, so he has no access to wake up options. So I set up the rock wall, right? He can't press a button out of that, he can't poke out of that, he can't jump out of it. Well, he could jump out of it, but if he tries to hit me while I'm in the field, the rock is gonna hit him, and I can get a full combo off of that. And there's actually a cool thing about this field too. And I actually didn't know this until earlier today. I was testing some stuff out and I figured it out. So her throw is a crushing blow. If they tech a throw incorrectly, the next time you use forward throw, it'll crushing blow. Okay? If you have the rock field out, anytime you do a forward throw, it'll crushing blow. So the opponent, you could have never thrown or never tried to go for a throw the entire match. It doesn't matter. They, could have teched 3 of your throws before that. If you have this field out and you do a forward throw, it's gonna crush and blow every time, or at least on the first time. So that's a really cool thing, because now, right, if I'm in the corner, so let me show. I'll show that later. But if I get like a hit, like a punish or something, right, and I set this up, right, so that was 16% plus 31% for the crushing blow, so that's 47% that the opponent just took. Now I do come off a lot of resources because using the field actually uses up both of your defensive bars, and it recharges just as fast as if you were to break out of a combo. So the same amount of time it takes for all your defensive meter to come back when you break out of a combo, that's how long it takes for your meter to come back when you use this move. But in a situation like that, right, it's very beneficial to use it. And what I was going to show, I guess I'll show it right now. Actually, hold on. I was going to show her crushing blow combo that she can do in the corner. Just to show you like the damage potential that you can get with something like that. Don't worry, I'm gonna get it. And that was like 66% right there that they just took off of that setup. So just so you can see her damage potential and how much damage she can do up close, which is not really where she excels, but once you have that move up, it completely changes how you can play your game. It makes it so that now you can go up close and not be afraid to be punished. The other cool thing too is having this rock wall out now lets her like do this string. Let me take my block. So I mentioned before that string is -10 on block. And if the opponent were to like mash out of you trying to stagger that, they would punish you every time. Right? With this field up, right, I can stagger pressure like that safely, because the opponent can't press a button after that, right? If they try to hit me while I'm in the field, the rock's just gonna hit them, and I'm gonna get a full combo off of it. So what I actually like to do, because a lot of times people will be waiting for you to go for throws in the corner, and they'll duck and down to you. So instead, what I'll do, actually I don't want him to counterattack. I'll just show like a scenario. If I get the setup in the corner, right, I'll go into that, right? I'll go into that mid. So now the opponent has to block, right? Because it's a mid. I'll put him on auto block actually. So the opponent has to block that, right? Because it's a mid. But they can't press buttons off of that after that low, right? Because the field is out. So even though I'm -10, right, I can use this safely in pressure because I have that field up, right? So, that field is a really good tool. If you can get the opponent in the corner, it actually allows her to have a pressure game, which is something that she doesn't normally have or doesn't normally excel at. So, talk about crushing blow combos real quick. Her crushing blows, like I mentioned, are off this wall. If you absorb a projectile and then meter burn it, it'll crushing blow. This move, crushing blows. Her throw, as you saw, crushing blows. She has one string that crushing blows, which you saw, which is that string, and then her down 2 crushing blows, which is universal down 2. So real quick, and her tendril crushing blows too. That actually gets a combo now. Before, when it, I think pre-patch, when you used to get a crushing blow with the tendril pull, it just did a lot of damage. Now it actually launches, and you can get a combo off that. Now, the problem with that is the opponent has to block that move late. I don't know, you know, I don't really think this is something that you should just like throw out from this range, being that it's minus 35 on block. But, you know, if you do happen to catch the opponent like trying to press buttons or something like that, and they block this move late, and you get the crushing blow, she gets a decent combo off it, and I'll show that right now. So let's look at her other crushing blows real quick. So this string, same combo as in the corner. So you have 2-1-3, crushing blow, jump 1, forward 1-3 into the tendril pull. It's usually not this hard to do, I don't know why I'm missing it. It's not as hard of a combo as I'm making it look, trust me. There we go. Into forward 2-3, Hell's Wraith, which is how I usually end my combos. I don't know why I keep dropping it. It's really not that hard of a combo. There we go. So that's 37% right there off of that crushing blow. Off the down 2. You can't actually get a jump in off that down 2, unfortunately. 35%. I'm sure with the jump in it would do a little bit more, but there's too much recovery off the down 2 crushing blow, so the jump in, you can't actually get a jump in off of that. And then her tendril pull, which I actually have to do a little bit of setup to show. Hold on. Alright, we go. So if you can get, you know, the tendril pull, crushing blow to come out, it's the same thing, forward 1-3 into meter burn tendril pull, and then forward 2-3 into the close Hell's Wraith to leave them standing, and create that space. But yeah, that's pretty much Cetrion. I guess I should talk about her fatal blow. It's not really anything too crazy. There's not really a good way to combo into it. I've actually really haven't tested like what combos into her crushing blow, to be honest with you, or fatal blow rather. So I don't really know like what links into that links. So 2-1 links into fatal blow. I'm trying to see like if you punish something. Alright, so forward 1-3 does not link. So if you punish with forward 1-3, don't combo it into fatal blow because it doesn't link. Alright, so 1-1 links. Looks like 2-1 links. Let me see if back 3 links. Back 3 links. And forward 2-3 links. So all of her main strings and normals that we talked about at the beginning, 1-1 will link into fatal blow. So if you get a punish off of that, let's see what else. Forward 2-3, 2-1, and then her back 3, which is her low, will link into fatal blow. So I guess you can actually probably get like, if you have crushing blow up, you can actually probably get decent damage off of her fatal blow. This is not actually something I tested before. So let me see how much damage that does. So that's pretty good damage. 46.5% damage if you have the crushing blow up and you have fatal blow active. So that's not bad. It's pretty decent damage. But her fatal blow actually hits from everywhere. So anywhere on screen, like if they try to zone you or something like that and you get the read, or you know, if you see a move come out and on reaction you fatal blow, it'll hit them anywhere on screen. It looks like it should be an overhead, but as you saw, it hits mid. So yeah, but nothing too crazy with the fatal blow. Again, the main core strings that we talked about: 1-1, forward 2-3. Forward 1-3 does not link. It does not link into Tendril or fatal blow. So just remember that if you get a punish with forward 1-3, your best bet is to go into close Hell's Wraith. That's pretty much, you know, guaranteed 12%. But 1-1 will combo into Tendril Pull. Forward 2-3 will combo into Tendril Pull. Back 3 will combo into Tendril Pull. 2-1 will also combo into Tendril Pull. And all of those same strings will combo into her fatal blow as well. But yeah, that's Cetrion in a nutshell. Again, really good space control character. Her zoning is good, but it's not like overwhelming. You kind of have to be strategic in some matchups with her zoning, because characters that have faster zoning than you, if you try to like use this move too much, you'll just get punished and abused for it. So if you want to establish this move as a threat, it's something that you have to, like, you know, really set up over time. You have to check them with this, you know, get them to kind of block low. What I'll do sometimes also is I'll buffer this, and then instead of going into the earth shake or earthquake, I'll actually go into the boulder. So the input for the earthquake is down 3, right? Instead, and the input for the boulder is down back 2. What I'll do is I'll do down back 2, right? So it looks like I'm gonna go for the earthquake, but instead the boulder comes out, right? So what that does is, because they know that, you know, this is the startup of the earthquake, once they see that little, you know, that little duck right there, and they start to block low, then I throw this out, right? So now I've established that as a threat, right? They don't know if I'm gonna do the low or if I'm gonna do the boulder, and then they have to guess, right? And then if they start jumping, right, because they're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna jump, so I don't have to deal with either of those options, that's when you establish that one as a threat. And if they get hit by that, 32% of their health gone. So like I said, her zoning, like, it's good zoning, but you can be strategic with it, and you can really, like, you can really play her as the way a zoning character is supposed to be played, like, you know, with a brain, you know, and actually have, you know, strategy behind it. But yeah, that's Cetrion. Talking about key normals, key strings, took a look at all her special moves, what they do. I didn't take a look at the crushing blows that didn't have combos off of them. But, you know, if you want to see what those crushing blows do, how much damage you get, you can, you know, take her into the lab and check those things out. I guess I should also talk about her, like, flawless block combos, and like Getup combos. It's really the same thing. I think off of, actually no, you can't. It's the same thing. Off of a Getup up 2, you just do forward 1-3 into Tendril, and then forward 2-3 into the close Hell's Wraith. Same thing off of a flawless block attack. You know, it's the same bread and butter combo for, you know, all of her starters and stuff like that. But yeah, that's Cetrion. Really fun character. She's really cool, really fun to play. You know, you can play her really smart and really strategic, and kind of play that mid-range game. And then also, when you get up close, she's not the best, but she does have options if you can establish them early, and you can really make her just an all-around powerhouse if you use her the right way. So yeah, that was my first ever character breakdown. It wasn't really, you know, too crazy in-depth. A little bit of a, you know, advanced stuff, but, you know, first character breakdown. Appreciate feedback from you guys. If I miss anything, or if there's something that you guys want me to address, just leave it in the comments below, and I'll try to, you know, I'll try to cover it maybe in a later video. If you guys would like to see, like, those flawless block combos, or if you guys would like to see what those other crushing blows that I didn't look at do, you know, just let me know, and I'll, you know, make a video on those. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. I'll probably be doing a Garrus tutorial, maybe, for my next video. So we'll see. But yeah.